pure sensation is the key to liberation, non-dual liberation, awakening, realization. What is meant by that? Well, there's a possibility in any moment in life to completely drop all descriptions, all definitions, and simply be with immediate experience, feel immediate experience as pure sensation, as a thoroughgoing flux of pure sensations. You know, if you go into what seems to be the body, for example, if you close your eyes, you go into the field of the body, you can notice, for one, that there's no clear boundary, there's no clear distinction between where the body ends and where the rest of life begins. There's this field of ever-present aliveness. And if you let yourself not think about that field of aliveness, but you let yourself just feel it vividly, almost microscopically, with a high definition, HD level of clarity, of detail, you feel this thoroughgoing flux, this endless percolatingness, this buzzingness, this vibratingness through every level and layer of the body, rippling into the full field of experience. Just noticing that all these supposedly distinct sense fields really melt into one sense field, or you could even say zero. Numbers become irrelevant because numbers are another conceptualization, another way of attempting to quantify or concretize what fundamentally cannot be quantified or concretized. So you drop ideas, you drop opinions, you drop descriptions. Just let yourself feel present, experiencing as this continuum of aliveness, of buzzingness. Notice that at the level of pure sensation, nothing even crystallizes into a definable, objectifiable entity of any kind. This is what people mean when they say non-arising, non-abiding, non-ceasing, non-passing away. Even to say that everything is impermanent misses the mark, because that implies that an object actually crystallizes and then at some point it's no longer permanent and it dissolves. But at the level of pure sensation, at the level of pure vibration, at the most fine-grained level of subtlety that is accessible here and now, no objects even crystallize. There is simply this thoroughgoing buzzingness, vibratoriness, aliveness, this continual vanishing, this continual appearing. So letting yourself sink into that, in a sense, melt into that. Let yourself engage in this full being listening. Feel yourself as the totality of being without even concretizing being itself. Let go of all concepts, even the most subtle concepts: awareness, consciousness, being, God, Tao, Source. Letting all of that go, and what are you left with? What are you left with? You're left with this ever-dancing radiance that is no thing, total emptiness, total weightlessness, and yet it's also completely full, completely exquisitely overflowing and dripping with this astounding juiciness, this radiance, this textural color, light, sound, what we call color, light, sound, yet we don't know what those words mean. Those just gesture toward a living experience, none of which can be pulled apart, none of which can be separated out. You can't draw lines around any aspect of experience and pull it out from the full field. And there is no field. So you're just learning to sensitize yourself to what is here at the level of pure sensation. Peter Brown, a great teacher of mine and friend of mine, would say, you don't have to deconstruct what is false, just go to what is true. So much of the way people talk about awakening involves these very elaborate stages of deconstructing different dimensions of self or reality or the way things seem to be. Peter would just say, just notice that this is it right now. Notice this right now, beyond concepts, beyond solidifications, concretizations, definitions, identities, identifications. Essentially drop everything you've ever assumed to be true about this. Return to the blank slate, return to pure infant mind, pure freshness. And what are you left with? Then just hang out there. Just hang out there in that luminous blankness, that thoroughgoing, sparkling flux, dazzling purity, the dazzling purity, thusness, suchness, texture. There is this thoroughgoing, textured fluxingness, and it's so delicious. It's so juicy. It's so free. It's just doing itself. There's absolutely no way that I could stop this thoroughgoing flux. There's no one here to stop it in a deep sense. As you attune to this thoroughgoing flux, it starts to eat everything. Everything you put into that dissolves into that, including the root solidification, the root concretization of the I am, the idea, the thought that there is a separate me right here. Often we locate this separate sense of self somewhere up in this area. There's a sense of like a puppeteer or a homunculus kind of pulling the levers, a thinker of thoughts, a doer of actions, a chooser of choices. Yet what is being pointed to here is what happens when you notice that sensations are simply arising and passing away simultaneously of their own accord in a continual dance. And you just stay with that. You just sit with that. You feel that. Any moment that you feel that you simply feel the now, this nowness. And the concept of now needs to be dropped too. But we have to talk about this somehow, so I have to use concepts to try to communicate it. You just feel this nowness, this presence, as this thoroughgoing flux with zero concepts, zero conceptual overlays, zero ideas about it, zero opinions about it. Even if thoughts are arising, notice that those are just like clouds drifting through the sky. Don't believe the thoughts. Don't get hoodwinked into the content of the thoughts, which immediately hooks you into a dualistic frame of separation. Notice the thoughts as another sparklingness, another presence of pure energy that is also this same thoroughgoing flux, this fluxing, sensationing. And just stay with that, feel that, even if it's just for a few seconds. You're kind of titrating doses of your deeper nature so that you're acclimatizing to this kind of rarefied yet also utterly ordinary, utterly simple, utterly direct and on the ground everyday altitude of thoroughgoing flux. All that we're ever experiencing is thoroughgoing flux. You've never seen yourself twice in the same way. You've never seen any apparent object or being twice in the same way. All you are experiencing is this cascading waterfall of impressions, a continual impressionistic painting that is just morphing and shifting and shape-shifting and cascading through itself, and you are that entire impressionistic painting. You are that entire hyper fresco melting through itself. And the sense of being a separate me over here or in here is just another cascading flurry of sensations that comes and goes, that pops in and out of this cloud of thoroughgoing flux, thoroughgoing sensations sensing themselves. There's no separate sensor. So you're just allowing yourself to melt into the hot bath of pure nebulous sensation, not pinning anything down, titrating, kind of microdosing these doses of freshness, doses of vividness beyond concept, letting experience just be pure image with no explanation, pure sensation with no explanation. And every single time that you do that is realization. That is a glimpse of your deeper nature, you could say, a glimpse of anatta, no self, a glimpse of empty fullness, weightless juiciness, self-executing, self-dancing, self-generating, self-dissolving, self-liberating, with no maintenance required. No one who could intervene, no one who could manipulate it. It is entirely doing itself in a deep sense. None of these pointers should be grasped onto as ultimate truths, though, because as Frank Yang has nicely put it, it's possible to will without agency, and it's possible to desire without craving. And so even after no self has been deeply seen and the tremendous liberation of that has cascaded through, and there's this foundational knowingness of empty fullness, the whole dance continues. Everything you love is still there. You are still there in a deep sense. The flavor of you-ness, the JB-ness, the JB-ing, it's more like a verb, more like an activity, continues to arise, continues to unfurl, and there can still be an experience of feeling a sense of desire to move in a certain direction, a certain calling, a certain pull, a certain mysterious gravity, galvanization in a certain direction. And there can be an experience of applying will or effort to that, almost like will applying itself, the effortless effort of reality applying itself through the prism, the channel, the conduit, the instrument of you-ness. So nothing can be grasped onto at the end of the day. A lot of what is communicated in non-duality and radical non-duality circles can easily become an extreme view if grasped onto. You know, a lot of these guys who say things like, this is nothing, this is valueless, this is meaningless, this is solipsism. None of that is truth. None of that is truth. Truth cannot be spoken. Truth cannot be thought. So if you think you've got it, grokked it in some kind of model, some kind of idea, some kind of pointer, you can be sure that that's not it. You know, those pointers might be auspicious and skillful at a certain moment. If you're ripe for them, they can pop a bubble and whew, you can melt into freshness, weightlessness, juiciness. And yet, every pointer, every extreme view has to be relinquished. Well, it doesn't have to be. Sometimes it's not. Over the course of a lifetime, some people get stuck in extreme views, or they kind of find a resting place that they're content with, and they stay there. But if you continue to immerse in this thoroughgoing flux of nowness, it does eat all extreme views, like putting a piece of wood into a bonfire. It just slowly eats all extreme views and dissolves all layers of view and concretization from every level of body and beingness, dissolving every last speck of solidity in a certain sense, such that you feel increasingly weightless, free, often as if no one is even there. You know, the sense of someone being there can come and go. That doesn't have to permanently dissipate, but as it is deeply seen that selfing activity is just another emanation of this thoroughgoing flux, another kind of apparition that instantaneously appears and dissipates within this thoroughgoing flux, it's not grasped onto in the same way. It's not made so personal and so tight and like, oh, life is such serious, important business, and it's all happening to me, and I gotta figure this out. It's just, it becomes so much lighter, so much freer. Life can still be immensely personal. Life is immensely personal in a deep sense. And on the flip side, it's also totally, totally impersonal. Totally and utterly impersonal. And both neither far beyond either. You know, both neither far beyond either is a koan that I've been saying for years, and I still find this to be an incredibly incisive skillful pointer. I received it one time on ayahuasca, where I was seemingly dialoguing with God, was the experience that was appearing within this thoroughgoing flux at that time. And I was like, well, is it free will or is it determinism? And God was like, well, both, neither, far beyond either. And that can be applied to any and all dualities, including being and non-being, God and not God, love and not love, Christ and not Christ, everything and nothingness, absolute and non-absolute. At the end of the day, all words, existence, non-existence, all words, all concepts, even the most subtle, the most seemingly exalted and ultimate, they will be hollowed out. It will be revealed that they inevitably, invariably miss the mark if you continue to expose yourself to this thoroughgoing flux. And in a great sense, in a deep sense, that is not your choice. That is beyond your control in a certain profound sense. It's just kind of what's happening, or what seems to happen for some of us. And yet you can seemingly agentically choose as well to continue slipping into that ever fresh, immediate bathwater of pure sensation, fullness, weightlessness, freshness, vividness, in the absence of all labels, if you feel a calling to continue titrating to yourself doses of radiant presence, as Peter Brown would say, doses of your deeper nature. You can keep going to that, and those glimpses are cumulative over time. It gradually sinks in that this is it. This is the only placeless place I've ever been. This thoroughgoing flux is home for no one, in a deep sense. For no one, everyone, both, neither, far beyond either. Unicity, unity, multiplicity, just all dualities, all polarities, all attempts to map it whatsoever just collapse down into the gravity well, the black hole of nowness, which is also like the center of the sun. You can liken it to a black hole, or you can liken it to the center of a sun. It's both, neither, far beyond either. And it's can't be said at all, and yet it feels resonant and skillful to say that the center of that sun is not something to be feared. It's pure, unconditional grace, unconditional innocence, unconditional love, ungraspable love, unsayable love, a love completely beyond our typical human conception of love, even though that human love is like a whiff, a fragrance of that deeper, all-incinerating black hole inferno of pure, all-dissolving, all-generating love at the centerless center, the omni-center point, the all-present, centerless center point of sourceless source, the gateless gate. I'm not trying to make this overcomplicated. I'm not trying to speak in riddles. It's just it's so far beyond our usual view that you find yourself speaking this way when you try to talk about it, but the actual immediate experience of it is utterly simple. I've said this many times, and it's one of the most important things to remember, because in this world of non-duality, there's so much gobbledygook, and I'm spouting so much gobbledygook, and it's coming from a good place. It's an attempt to F the ineffable. It's an attempt to penetrate the unpenetratable, translate the untranslatable. Yet, you just remember that all of that gobbledygook burns down and it all becomes irrelevant. And you already know this. You know, Alan Watts said Zen spirituality is not to think about God while peeling the potatoes, it's just to peel the potatoes. So in the moments where you are just peeling the potatoes, there's just that activity going on. You're not referencing it to a self. There's just pure, thoroughgoing radiance doing itself. The peeling of the potatoes, the taking of a shit, the wiping of your ass, the hang gliding through the air, the kissing your child on the head, the snuggling with your wife or husband. That's all it. It's the purest simplicity of whatever the moment seems to be, whatever this presence seems to be showing up as. That is fully and utterly what's being pointed at. And what's being suggested is simply that there are levels of freedom and weightlessness and grace and peace and love that are hidden within that are ever present within that. Wholeness, abundance, lusciousness, prosperity beyond imagining that are hidden within that. And if you happen to be called to discover those, you can. And pure sensation is the gateway, dropping all concepts and just going to pure sensation. And that really simplifies things, right? That is a very, very simple doorway. You can burn down all the gobbledygook and you can just keep going to pure sensation. Just keep going to pure sensation. Just keep melting into pure sensation. Just keep feeling pure sensation. Open to the full field. Feel the full field as pure sensation. Pure sensation, pure sensation, pure sensation, pure sensation. Openness, pure sensation. Openness, pure sensation. Openness, pure sensation. And you just do that as often as you like, if you're called to. If you're not called to, great. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you're enjoying your life, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But some of us, either because we're suffering massively or because we have this intrinsic burning gravity toward leaving no stone unturned in the discovery of what this freshness is, which turns out to be all-devouring bottomlessness and mystery, and I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, and the answer doesn't end up being a definable answer. It's the dissolution of the questioner and all questions. The questions and the questioner dissolve into freshness, and then there's just germinal simplicity, germinal luminosity, and there's no one grasping for questions or answers anymore in a deep sense. That is more and more deeply internalized, and there's just life living itself. There's just flow flowing itself. And there is no flow. And there is no life in a certain sense. All words, all concretizations are ungrasped, hands off. And that is possible. That's available. Again, not necessarily recommended. If you're enjoying your life, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But this is just an attempt to illuminate, elucidate what happens if you are mysteriously summoned to go there. If you are summoned to go there, which is here, which is where you've always been, and dissolve into home and feel that primordial home and peace that surpasseth understanding, and return to the pure innocence of baby mind, infant mind, and live that way. That's an available possibility, and it's here right now. It's the only thing that's ever here. It's your experience right now. And there's nothing that needs to be changed about it. You're perfect, you're whole, you're complete, you're a masterpiece. And who knows? Who knows where the path leads? It's continual change. Maybe you'll be called to burn it all down and be empty fullness. Empty fullness, humaning, and JBing, and rapping, and singing, and dancing, and parenting, and whatever else. Empty fullness. So, if you are called to that, pure sensation is one of the simplest, most direct doorways. I hope I've expressed it. Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now does a really good job of articulating this. If you want another map, the audiobook is great. He talks about going into the inner body. That's a portal. The inner body is a portal to pure sensation. Essentially, you're just dropping all concepts. You're resting with, you're abiding as pure sensation. You're noticing and feeling nowness as pure mystery, as a continuum of pure unknown jambalaya, oatmeal, shape-shifting, etheric God juice, isness, jizness, all words miss. And that's the point. You're going to the immediate place of pure sensation where all words miss. And those moments of recognition, realization are cumulative, and they gradually shift the foundational center of gravity of your being such that your orientation and your experience of all of life shifts in a massively liberating way, if that is what you happen to be called toward. So that's the message. That's the memo. That's the memo. Stick it to your refrigerator with a magnet here, and yeah, that's all I'm doing. Just dropping some memos on the infinite digital refrigerator. If they happen to be of relevance for anybody. And yeah, all love, pure grace. Trust nature, trust the flow. You can trust life. You are loved, you are beautiful. This is juicy fullness. This empty fullness is luminous God play. This is gorgeousness. This is the ever gurgling geyser of gorgeousness. This is home. Have no fear. All sensations are allowed. Trust the flow. This is it. From one brother to another, brothers and sisters and all beings. Love and hugs. God bless you. God bless you. Be well. Truly wish you a groovy ride. Keep rocking in the free world. I love you. Peace.